She says, nuts, love them, but don't think my digestive system does. Any thoughts on this? And are some easier to digest than others? Yes, nuts are a very common trigger for digestive issues. There are really 3 reasons why you might be having issues. Number 1 is an allergy, which you probably already know if you have a nut allergy or not. Allergies are generally more pointed reactions. So you might have to carry an EpiPen so that you don't go into anaphylactic shock, or you might break out in hives, or you might actually vomit as soon as you have nuts. And this usually occurs within, 20 or so, maybe up to 60 minutes of ingesting the food. And it happens every single time. So my guess, Emily, is that you don't have an allergy. Second potential is an intolerance. Intolerances are much more muted reactions. So things like bloating, gassiness, constipation, diarrhea, fatigue, migraines, arthritis, skin conditions, general malaise, all kinds of things like that can happen from intolerances. And the bummer thing is that they don't happen every time. So it's really hard to diagnose without a blood test. So many of you know I offer the ALCAT food intolerance test through my practice. This is a blood test. I don't draw the blood, thank goodness. That would be really scary, but I contract with mobile phlebotomists all around the country and in Canada. I did so much research about the specific lab. I choose one single lab, the ALCAT lab, owned by Cell Science Systems in Florida. The mobile phlebotomist takes your blood, sends it to ALCAT. ALCAT sends your results to me, and then I help you interpret it. This is a really great test, changed my life. I'll post the blog post that I wrote about that, where you can see more about the difference between allergies and intolerances and see my results from 2013 or 14 or whenever I did it. The good news with intolerances is once you eliminate the food for 3 to 6 months, depending on the severity, your red blood cells regenerate in a healthy way, and you shouldn't have that intolerance anymore. So that's potential number 2. Potential number 3 is if you have any kind of weakness in your digestive system, if you have leaky gut, which many people do. I would say over 50% of people have some signs of leaky gut, which isn't as scary as it sounds. I can go into leaky gut if anyone ever asks the question, but I'm not going to do that today so I don't bore you. But if you have any weakness in your digestive system, nuts have 2 things in them that could be triggering you to feel not so great. Lectins are one. Lectins are inflammatory agents that are present in almost all plant-based foods, but to varying degrees, and they're higher in nuts. And then phytic acid is the other one. So phytic acid, this is the reason why a lot of people choose to avoid nuts, beans, grains, things like that, is because of the phytic acid content. So with phytic acid, you can soak them. You can soak the nuts like overnight, maybe even 12 to 48 hours or so. And when you soak them, a lot of the phytic acid content is reduced or negated, basically. So that's my recommendation for that. If the third issue is causing, or the third reason is causing your issue, I would try soaking and maybe even sprouting nuts. You can buy pre-sprouted nuts if you want to, if you don't want to go to the trouble of soaking them. But those are generally much easier on the digestive system. You ask which ones are better. So walnuts, chestnuts. I know, who eats chestnuts? I definitely don't, but these are the ones with lower phytic acid and lectin content. Walnuts, chestnuts, Brazil nuts, and macadamia nuts should be the best. I get it. These are like the expensive ones. I don't even really like Brazil nuts, but they're super high in selenium, so I eat a Brazil nut every single day. They're in my office. I just kind of like do it. I keep them in my snack drawer, so I always remind myself of that. And selenium is really hard to find in most foods. So any of those would be the better ones to try. Also seeds. For a lot of people who have issues with nuts, they're okay with seeds. So a company called Enjoy Life does a trail mix that's really great, made of seeds only. One of my intolerances was almonds, and so I had to eliminate almonds, which I just love. Almond butter, milk, regular almonds, almond crackers, all kinds of almonds all over the place. I used Enjoy Life Trail Mix, which is seed-based, doesn't have any nuts or dairy or gluten or any of the common allergens or inflammatory agents. So you can try that.